A complaint that I and many other attorneys hear often in workers' compensation is injured workers who have an attorney and complain, my attorney's not helping me. And then the injured worker goes about, makes some choices, and sometimes ends up in a worse spot. So what I'd like to do is just go through some of the common complaints and what your options are, maybe the right way to go about it if you're an injured worker who has an attorney now, so that potentially you don't end up as an injured worker without an attorney trying to find one. If you want to go about the case on your own, then that is perfectly fine. You're free to do that, and that's one of the main reasons I started these videos in the first place, was to help injured workers who don't have an attorney. But for those who do have an attorney, oftentimes injured workers are frustrated with this system, and they say, my attorney's not helping me. What that often is that the system moves way too slow. You call your attorney, you don't end up getting authorization for your treatment that you need, and 2 weeks have gone by, 3 weeks have gone by, and oftentimes the sentiment is, my attorney's not doing anything to help me. In reality, it's just that the workers' compensation system moves so horribly slow. The attorney likely sent out a letter. The attorney may have sent out email, may have made phone calls. The attorney is required to make good faith efforts before filing a declaration of readiness to proceed to take the matter to a judge. So the attorney has to make efforts to resolve the dispute before going to the judge. So the attorney may be making those efforts. If that doesn't take care of the problem, then the attorney will likely request a hearing. And in that case, you may then have to wait another month or 2 months before the hearing takes place and you get in front of a judge. So even with that, in a fast possible scenario, you call your attorney with a problem, the attorney works to put together the paperwork and have all the information that your attorney needs. It may still be 3 months before you actually get a hearing. So it is a frustratingly slow system. So that's one of the main things that I have seen in the past when people say, my attorney's not helping me or my attorney's not working for me. It's just that the system is going too slow. Now, that said, sometimes attorneys do have issues with returning phone calls or with working on cases, and sometimes attorneys are not doing a good job of handling your case. What to do when that takes place? You should follow up with your attorney in writing. You want to document what it is that you need and what you expect of your attorney. That way everybody's on the same page. An email can work also. Follow up with phone calls. If that's not getting you anywhere, your options are a couple of things. You can fire your attorney. I'll include a link below this video on a dismissal of attorney form. So you can fire your attorney and you can go either hire a new attorney or you can represent yourself. Something to keep in mind, if you fire your attorney, you're now responsible to represent yourself until you get another attorney. I will say that in workers' compensation, a lot of attorneys are reluctant to take on a client who already had an attorney earlier and then fired that attorney. One, some attorneys are simply worried that you will fire them also. Two, the issue in workers' comp is that the fees usually run 12 to 15% of the settlement at the end of the case. And what's going to happen is your first attorney will likely file a lien for attorney's fees. If you go and hire a second attorney, that second attorney is going to have to split the attorney's fees with the first attorney. So that second attorney is going to look at your case and realize they're going to make a much smaller fee, potentially, off of your case than if you hadn't had an attorney in the first place. So my recommendation, if you have an attorney now, and if you have tried everything that you can to work it out with your attorney, but you're simply not happy and you're going to dismiss your attorney, and your plan is to find a new attorney, my recommendation would be to look for that new attorney before you fire your first one. That way, if you find an attorney that's willing to take your case, then you can go through the paperwork and you can have a seamless transition from the first attorney to the second. That way, you don't end up firing your attorney and being unable to find a new attorney. That said, You can fire your attorney. You can represent yourself. That attorney may still file a lien for workers' comp fees. And at the end of the case, that attorney may get a fee from your case, depending on the amount of work that the attorney did. The judge will need to decide that, or you and that prior attorney can work it out amicably. But the attorney likely will file a lien. So what to do? You're frustrated with your attorney is not fighting for you. It's a slow system, so your frustration may not be with your attorney, but rather with the system in general. And B, it is possible to fire your attorney. There's paperwork down below or a link down below to that paperwork. But my recommendation generally is if you're going to get a new attorney, look for that attorney before you fire the first one. For more videos on workers' compensation, let us know your questions. Let us see what we can do.